Good morning, Serena here. I just woke up literally like 15 minutes ago and I was pondering upon something because we had a very nice conversation yesterday with Scott, my friend and colleague. Scott Kiloby, I'm sure you know him. If you know me, you must know him as well. And we were talking about the time traveler mind, or the mind that projects healing into the future. And what is healing for me? It's simply just feeling, allowing what's being felt here in this body, allowing it, processing it by making it conscious, or making the unconscious part of it conscious through the feeling and through the mind. And then after processing something, I feel freer in my body mind. So feeling, processing, making it conscious, and feeling freer, feeling more myself somehow. That's healing for me. Not some mysterious thing. And so I want to explain it in a very simple way. So when I was a child, I can remember that initially, when I went through difficult situations, especially within my family, because I went through abuse and stuff, like difficult stuff, and we all have our stories, I know, and we all went through traumas, and we all went through like difficult things that we couldn't handle, we couldn't process, because there was no one to help us to go through the feeling and processing part of the experience, the emotional part of the experience. So it was the same for me as a child, that initially when I went through those things, I could just let go of them. Like they created some suffering, emotional suffering in the body. For example, when my mom said something to me that was hitting my system, that was hard for me, or someone hit me, it created suffering. I was crying, but after a while it was just gone, when I was very young, a few years old or something. And then later on, when I became older, a young girl or something, the experience couldn't just let go of itself or something, So my mind started to go into the future, like project into the future. That's what I call like the time traveler mind. Like whenever I felt like angry, afraid, shut down, shocked, hopeless in my experience, that's my emotional package that I couldn't handle since childhood. So whenever I felt this, it was all unconscious. I didn't know that I couldn't handle this or anything like this. It was just automatic. So my mind reacted in a way that it started to project into the future, like, oh, in the afternoon, you are going to meet Katie. So you are going to feel better. So that was a different emotional experience as I started to project into the future. Or tomorrow you are going to go to school, you are going to meet Andy, and you're going to have that experience, and then you are going to be fine, then you are going to be okay. It was like unconscious and innocent and automatic protection from my young mind. That's the movement of the mind, because the mind creates time, because time doesn't exist, because now I know, of course, that only this present, the spaciousness of this moment, that's the only thing that exists and connect us, that pervades everything. The space of this present moment, awareness, in other words. So within this spaciousness, within this human experience, the mind started to create time, started to through by creating future images. You are going to have that experience in the future. So it was drawing my attention away from the present experience to protect me. So it was saying, you are going to have that experience, and emotionally it's going to be like this, like loving, spacious, safe, etc. And later on, as a teenager, it was the same, I was like, when I'm going to be 18, I'm going to move away from my family, then I'm going to be fine. So just survive this, whatever you are feeling here, fear, anger, shutdown, shock, hopelessness. But when you are going to be 18, it's going to end because you are going to have that experience, like future thinking, future creating. That's not here. It's just nonsense. The future doesn't exist. But the mind is creating these images, these thoughts to prevent me from feeling what's down there in my body, because I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the approach, I didn't have the knowledge to meet it, you know? And so later on, getting to know, or, you know, simple things, because I just want to explain simple, like when I was a teenager, you know, you are going to go to this party in the evening and then you are going to feel free, it's going to be better, you know, you are going to meet your boyfriend, having sex, and then you are going to feel more safe, happier, more complete, something like this. So by future thinking and trying to create through these images, thoughts, a different emotional experience and circumstances, it helped me not to feel the painful stuff in my body because I didn't have the tools to meet it and go get over it or something, you know? And later on, when I met spirituality, when awakening came into my life, deeper and deeper recognition of this present moment that's always here, this freedom that's always here, the recognition of my conditioning also started to land or down on me, you know, through awareness recognition, or the recognition of this presence that's here. So I could see that whatever I went through childhood, whatever suffering I experienced as a child or as an adult already, that time back then when I was 20, 22, I started to see this energy, call it violence, like a karmic thing, you know? Like I experienced this in my childhood, and it came from past life because throughout the generations and my family's karma during the war that happened, you know, like violence, rape, etc., hopelessness, pain, anger, fear, I could see different past lives behind that, and transgenerational and intergenerational stuff. So there was an understanding, just seeing the whole picture, just seeing the whole image of that energy that happened to me and through me in my childhood, you know? And I could see that it had been happening for generations and for decades and centuries and lifetimes, you know? So I could just see it as a spiral of the same energy or something like this. And so later on, when I got to know KI, Kilo Bee Inquiries, and I learned how to process stuff, that was a missing experience for me since childhood, you know, I learned how to heal, means, as I said previously, means I learned to feel into my body. I learned to feel, allow, process, making the unconscious part of it conscious, and then feeling freer in my body mind. So I learned this process that wasn't there as a child, a teenager, as a spiritual adult. But what I couldn't see, that the same time traveler mind stayed with me in a way. And that's a very intelligent mind in my case also, or for many of us, that I could see that I'm getting freer and freer with KI. And so the same mind, or the unconscious part of it, started to project my healing into the future. Like, oh, okay, if you go with that pace, then after 2 years, you are going to have that experience. You are going to be even more freer than now, you know? Like that symptom is going to go away within 3 years. That's not true. It's just the mind trying to unconsciously still project into the future, still protecting me from feeling deeper and deeper layers of the same thing: anger, fear, shutdown, shock, hopelessness, and hurt. The package in my body, it's still trying to protect me from feeling it and processing, meeting it and processing, deeper and deeper layers of it. In other words, becoming freer and freer through the process. It's preventing me from healing. And if I don't see this movement of the mind still projecting healing into the future, just as it did as a child, projecting into the future different experiences to protect me from feeling whatever I couldn't handle, the same mind is doing the same movement in the present moment, projecting images about my healing into the future, preventing me from actually healing at that point, because now I know how to meet things, how to feel things, how to process them, and how to become freer and freer in this body-mind, So now I know it, but I couldn't see that my mind is subtly still was doing it. So we had this very nice conversation with Scott, and through that, I could see that the same movement happens through the mind, And so I was just asking, we were just saying, like, it's okay if I don't heal in this lifetime and I carry my traumas to next life or something. And then I could see, like, okay, the same mind movement wants to come in, No, that's not okay. I have to heal this. I have to become free or something like this, like the tension of that. And I was like asking, as I was seeing this movement, what do I get out of projecting into the future, thinking about the future, thinking or projecting my healing into the future, or believing that I have to heal in this lifetime? And, it just beautifully came through this mind movement, that I don't have to deal with this. I don't want to feel it. It's too much for me. I don't want to be in that. And that's a belief that comes through experience, started back then in childhood, because this feeling that I don't want to be here, I don't want to be in this family, I don't want to be in this situation, I don't want to be here, I don't want to feel it, I have to get out. But because I couldn't get out, my mind started to project into the future, because that was the only way that it could get me out of the situation, because I couldn't cope with it. So the same mind movement was still happening while I learned already, how to deal with it. So I just felt a huge liberation, just by seeing this and welcoming this same mind movement, and just seeing that, wow, that's still happening. The same mind is doing the same thing, So, and just by seeing this, like, using, like, we call it like reverse statement or reverse inquiry, like, I don't have to heal in this lifetime. Oof. And there you see the mind movement. You can try this also if you have this mind movement. No, I have to, and projecting the healing into the future that doesn't exist. That's just an image. That's just a movement of the mind driving me away from feeling what's here by pointing at the future, that what healing looks like. So you are going towards that whole thing. It doesn't exist. Just think logically. If only the present moment exists, what can happen within that? It's only the mind present here. You believe that you don't want to feel something, and then the mind start to create thoughts about the future that doesn't exist. So it's just a movement of thought creation from the mind. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the first thing, reverse inquiry. Like, I don't have to heal in this lifetime. It's okay if I don't heal. So it can help to see this tension or this mind movement. No, I want to, and just see the thought creation. And you can also ask simple questions. That's what we call utility inquiry. in the Kilo Bee inquiries. What do I get out of thinking about the future compared to this present moment experience I'm having now? What do I get out of thinking about future healing or the future in general, you know? Then I don't have to feel this. That's what was there for me. I don't know what's there for you, but that was there for me. Like the same stuck experience from childhood. And just by seeing this and inquiring into this, I could just meet this deeper part of these deeper layers of that experience that I couldn't experience and deal with in childhood, you know? Anger, fear, shock, aloneness, frozen fear, you know, hopelessness. And I feel much freer seeing this mind movement. I don't want to stop this, but now I see it from a deeper awareness. So it's more welcomed. I can involve this into my inquiry, and I can meet deeper layers of whatever was unfelt in my body mind. So I just felt so enthusiastic about that after the conversation with Scott. And he's going to talk about that more in the meeting today, if you are in the members area. So I suggest going to his meeting. And I cannot make to the meeting today. That's why I wanted to share a video about that. And yeah, and just share in the comment what's your experience with it. If you can see this movement driving you away from what's here now. Maybe you also have a belief like I had, like I cannot deal with it, because these beliefs made out of experience, like all experiences from childhood. Because I couldn't deal with that, you know. So that's how it became a belief in my system, unconscious. So share in the comments and share with me if you already see this or if this video gave you something. And thank you for listening again.